I wanted to start by asking you that you were actually an investment banker before you started all of this. Does that actually help you in the business today?
So I don't know how much you know about what investment banking is today and what it used to be at that time.
Okay.
Have you ever read the book Monkey Business?
No.
So Monkey Business is, in fact, it's a fantastic read, a very light read, but it actually tells you what an investment banking life starts, right from the analyst to the associate and so on.
Okay.
When I started off on Wall Street as an investment banker, it was very, very different. You basically had to drop everything if you got that time we had pagers. If you get a message, you had to just run. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you hard work. It teaches you attention to detail, how to dot your I's and cross your T's. And I think that is something that really helps me today. Also, the way you present yourself, the presentations that we do, it really, really helps. And I think that's basically a very strong foundation that anyone can get. When you come into marketing, which is called organized chaos. So it's been interesting, but I think that's taught me a lot of discipline.
Right. And do you think that that industry versus this industry is they look at discipline very differently?
Oh my God, yeah. This has no discipline at all. It's, you just make do with whatever it is. You also, this makes it interesting because you have to pivot, right?
Right.
Any situation, you just deep dive and you have to make the most of it. Even if it's the worst situation and you're shooting and your cameras are not going correctly, but that's all you have to find a solution. And in that one, you have to preempt everything that can go wrong. So you have to be prepared and nothing can go wrong.
Right.
So
how do you then be disciplined in such an environment?
I have OCD. If you can ask my team, they'll tell you that. I think in everything we try and preempt and are proactive for everything that you might need. I'm not saying we always hit the nail on the dot, but we try our level best, and most of the time we come up successful on that front. Most, not all.
We've seen that. But tell me that what was the first kind of project that you started with, or your interest came into this industry that, I'm going to do this?
I had no idea I'd be doing what I'm doing today. 13 years into the business, I had no idea I'd be doing anything to do with Bollywood, brands, creative, advertising, celebrities, not at all. When I started the company, it was just a name registered. It was registered for 2 years before it actually went active to doing anything.
Okay.
I was a one-person army, or whatever you call it. I sat out of a coffee shop and no idea what I was going to do. I met a lot of production houses and the producer said, "Oh, you don't have the experience. You should work for 3,000 rupees a month." Okay. Which I looked at them like, have you gone mad? I've come from Wall Street. But then I had a lot of friends, because if you live in Bombay and born and brought up here, you have friends who are actors, producers, directors. So I had a friend say, "Listen, why don't you come work on my film and do the marketing for it?" At that time, I had no idea what it meant. So I decided to do what anybody would do. I went on the set. I learned production. I was there every single day and, just figured out the brands that they need that would help them in production, that they need for marketing. And my first project was Lamha. It was with Sanjay Dutt and Bipasha and Rahul Dholakia as a director. And my friends were producers, so they said, "Why don't you work on it?" Right. That was, I think, a slap on my face, saying that there's no timing when you get into marketing and in the media industry. There's no organization. If they say yes today, it doesn't mean a yes tomorrow.
Right.
So I did that. My first brand deal that I did was Tata Motors, because Tata Motors was my client as an investment banking.
Okay.
So I reached out to them saying, "Hey, I've started this company," and they said, "Sure, whatever you need." And actually, they were with an agency at that time. They said, "No, we know her, but you have to work direct." And that's how I got all the big brands in that movie, because I had worked with them before. So it's relationships. And they kept introducing me to people, and that was my first project.
Nice. So did you have to understand the movie, the production, the actors to kind of integrate a brand into it?
Actually, it was more so what the director thinks is not actually what a brand wants to get integrated. It has to just work from an ROI perspective. So it's not that if you're holding something, I'm going to pay you money for it. It has to make sense.
Right.
Even if you do a passive hoarding, like if you have a hoarding at the back, it has to have some stay or some logic that it would register to the person. So basis that, we did, whenever I sit on it, I read the script, I work with the AD and the director to understand.
Okay.
And then we kind of integrate the brands. Also, it helps because the brands tell you what they want.
Okay. They tell you what the placements have to be, the kind of
Well, the brands
integration.
do. I've also done some really bad placements.
Okay.
And if I tell you that on this, it's one of the worst placements I have ever done it.
Okay.
That was my first movie ever. That's how I started working with Red Chillies, in fact.
Okay.
It was a film called Always Kabhi Kabhi.
Yes, I've heard about it.
Yes. So if you Google the worst in-film placement, you find
Why
it right there.
Why do you say it was?
Oh my God,
what
you have to
was the-
see it to believe it. I integrated an entire ad of a brand in the movie.
In the movie, there was an ad playing for like 30 seconds or something.
Yes, it was horrible. It really integrated.
really
I had the
nice.
animated characters. I had
Okay.
it transcend into the actors. It
Okay.
was really bad. Having
Okay.
said that, a movie with new cast, new director, I did more than 18 brands in it.
Okay.
I raised a lot of money for them.
Okay.
So that is how I started working with Red Chillies.
Okay.
But that one brand placement was really, 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 really bad.
Okay, because it was abrupt and it didn't go with the flow.
It was not abrupt. It was just something that if you're watching a film, you're like, oh my God, why is this in the film?
Okay, like that. And did the brand have a problem with
No,
it?
brand loved it. It
Brand
worked.
was okay. Okay. And so the production house moved.
They didn't have a problem. It's just that I just read. It was my first film with so many, and you can read it, right? The
Right.
worst in film, and you got a lot of comments below.
Right,
At that time,
right.
I don't think social media was blowing up as much as it
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
But if it had, it would be everywhere.